It's true, I do receive a lot of malicious attacks, and I've been called very dirty words and all the mean things that you can imagine. However, I noticed something interesting. I noticed that those people who really attack me, who really say some very malicious words to me, those are actually people who genuinely hate China.
Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Navina Heyden. I'm a bachelor student studying business economy here in Germany, and I had a lot of experience with a lot of Chinese people here in Germany and also in China. I've traveled to China a lot, and I always like to share my insights and my experience on Twitter.
We found that you were recently attacked by some German media like the Welt and the Institute of Strategic Dialogue, like a British think tank. So what exactly happened and how did they get you to do the interview?
A few months ago, I received a message from one of the reporters from Die Welt, and she told me she's currently writing on a bigger article discussing how China is pictured in the German media, and she wanted to hear my viewpoint because I have a China-friendly attitude. Basically, she wanted to know how I developed such a China-friendly stance and what kind of harassment I received. So I feel like this journalist is very neutral, and I also feel like if it's really getting bad, I can ask them to be anonymous. So that was why I agreed to have an interview with them. I was actually even inviting some of my friends who have the same viewpoint as me, so I can at first, of course, have some witnesses, so we can all tell a journalist that we will not accept them to publish anything from our interviews without permission. And we also told them that a lot of us want to stay anonymous. And they also guaranteed us over email that they will not do that. So they agreed to our terms as we understood. However, in the end, we probably all heard about it. They're writing this very large article where they're just slandering me, defaming me, even spreading lies about me. When I saw this article, of course, I felt extremely angry. I feel like if I just leave it be, then my internet presence will be harmed, or I don't know, anything worse that I do not want to think about right now. So that's why I started the lawsuit, the crowdfunding campaign, and this is how I ended up here right now.
So after those kind of like experience, how did you feel about the conscience of the news media before this incident?
Before the interview, before this article was published, I already knew that a lot of media reports are biased and they do have an interest conflict, so they have a reason to write negative views about China. However, I did not know exactly why and how they create those stories. After the interview, I first of all noticed that a lot of those so-called China experts, they actually have a very poor knowledge about China. During one interview, we tried to explain them what exactly they did wrong and why a lot of Chinese may feel offended by their reports, and they do not want to listen. So yeah, a lot of those people, they don't know China better, and they don't want to know China better.
Why do you think they are trying to targeting you on the internet?
My guess is because I was the only one who was naive enough to take the interview. So, however, because I'm just a student and I do not have this knowledge about media and I don't know how to really protect myself.
Is there any false reports of China in Western media that very impressed you?
Well, probably one of the reports that I feel most impressed is the over 1 million Uyghurs are held in concentration camps narrative. Whenever you read any report about it, you will always see this more than 1 million Uyghurs. You will always see this number. And this number is basically always cited from one media outlet to another. And so far, I haven't seen a single journalist from them who actually doubt this number or even suggest that we should double confirm it. If you really went to Xinjiang and you have basic demographic knowledge and some little statistic knowledge, you can actually see that this number cannot be correct. Because I actually also have some friends in Xinjiang, and I was actually asking them about this number and what happened, and they were completely confused. None of them know any of their family being held in concentration camps. This pattern, you make some very thrilling titles, you post some very strong accusations, and nobody dares to doubt it. To me, it really reminds me of the allegations towards Iraq for owning weapons of mass destruction.
We know that doxing refers to the practice of putting people's personal information on the internet. So some people, they can be harassed by others. I know that some journalists have disclosed your personal information and posted on the internet. Could you tell us what's happened and how did it affect your life or your friends, your family's life?
Well, regarding the doxing, this is actually something that my partner is suffering a little bit more than me. What I basically receive is harassment, hate speech, and also impersonation. What I really notice is that I haven't really been active on social media for too long, so I don't really have anything that I can use to dox me. So then instead for doxing, they would turn to my partner. And what they did, they were searching all of his social media accounts, and they just find some random picture of him, Photoshop some text on it, even photoshopping some of his tweets and making him look like a Nazi or a jihadist, you name it. And then they would not only publish those things on Twitter or on other social media accounts, but they would also send it to his friends and to his employer. The doxing I received from them is basically that they published my name, my affiliation, and my place of residence without my permission.
So does it affect your school life, or maybe when you graduate to find a job?
I always hear that when you're applying for a job, your employer will have a look at your social media account and also see if there's anything on the internet about you. And when you're Googling my name, you will see all of those reports. You will see the report from Die Welt. You will also see this analysis of the ISD, and you will also see all those translations of this article. And my worry is that when my future employer will see that, or even my friends will see that, then this will give me some trouble. I will not be hired, or friends will distance themselves from me. Yeah. Of course, I also have some worry that people will come to my hometown and do something. That's actually also a worry I have.
I know that you have faced a lot of malicious attacks on the internet. I saw your Twitter, and your Twitter, there are a lot of bad comments. So how do you feel about that? How did you deal with it? Because it definitely affects your daily life. Do you have any different way to relieve yourself from those kind of malicious comments?
It's true. I do receive a lot of malicious attacks. And I've been called very dirty words and all the mean things that you can imagine. However, I noticed something interesting. I noticed that those people who really attack me, who really say some very malicious words to me, those are actually people who genuinely hate China, usually in my real life, if I want to say so. When I talk with a neutral person, or can be even a person who is biased against China because they only have those negative media, actually we do reach a lot of agreement, and we can agree on a lot of things, and we do have this happy ending. However, when you try to reason with someone who has an interest conflict with China, and it is really his faith of hating China, then there's no way you can reason with him, and you will just waste your time. So this is something I learned after a while, that those people who attack you, you cannot reason with them, and arguing with them is just a waste of time. So I learned to ignore those people, and that's basically how I deal with it.
How do you view the double standard of freedom of speech? Because you find a lot of examples on the internet or on the Twitter. So why don't people respect your freedom of speech while you are merely expressing some good perception of China?
And I think freedom of speech is a little bit misinterpreted here. So what the problem here is, this is actually not my freedom of speech, but the freedom of speech from the media, like Die Welt. When those media writers report about me, they're spreading a lot of lies about me and defame me, slander me. And actually slandering and defamation is something written in our law, which is that this is forbidden and there will be consequence for it. When I was looking for a lawyer, nobody dared to accept my request because they're afraid of the consequence that will come with it. So the problem here is not that my freedom of speech is limited. It's because those the media like Die Welt are really abusing their freedom of speech. They're abusing their freedom of speech. There are no consequences for them, giving them too much power. Now, what the consequence is that I can say whatever I want, but I will not be heard. So that's actually what I think problematic. What I always hear is that those media, they have a very strong lawyer team. So in my case, actually filing this lawsuit will be difficult. And the problem is because they have this very strong lawyer team, the lawyers I found do not dare to attack them because this will harm the lawyer's reputation as well.
According to those kind of things, what would you like to say to Hong Kong young people who still believe that all the fake reports or fake news about China conducted by some Western media?
What I want to say to those people is you should really get outside of Hong Kong and really see the world yourself, especially mainland China, because the world is nothing you can learn from media articles. You really have to go to the places and see it yourself. And you will notice that those people around you, they have much more similarities to you than differences. When you always watch the media reports, they always like to emphasize that mainland Chinese are inferior, they're living dirty, they're eating some very weird food. And this is basically doing? It is causing you to hate the people around you. And for Hong Kong people who are living in China, who are surrounded by mainland China, I think this hatred will not benefit them at all.
If the violent vandalism in Hong Kong happened in 2019, you know that that kind of things like that happened in Germany, what would the German police or ordinary people do?
If something like that, like what happened in Hong Kong, what happened here in Germany. First of all, yes, we do have a lot of laws that will protect our citizens and our national security. We really have some violent protests. First of all, we will send police troops there, and they will not attack you, but they will try to take you down and prevent you from harming other people or harming public property. So we will definitely send police forces in there. For example, I also saw that Hong Kong people were storming their parliament and they damaged those public properties. In Germany, if you would do something like this, like besieging the parliament, people will consider this is called Hochverrat, high treason, and this will definitely be punished. One thing I'd also like to mention is, you saw all the riots happening in Washington. We all discussed that what they're doing is definitely treason, and this will be punished. However, the problem is a lot of Germans here, we don't really know the full picture of what happens in Hong Kong. We never hear anything about violence from the protesters' side. We don't hear that they're damaging public properties. We don't hear the case that they were burning one man alive or even killing some people. All we basically hear is peacefully demonstrating people who are attacked by some very corrupted cops. This is basically what we hear. So we have a very wrong picture of what is happening in Hong Kong. We just believe those people are peacefully protesting and the evil government is trying to suppress them.
When did you first become concerned about China? Is there anything that you remember about China that stands out to you?
The first time I noticed that China is not what I thought it was definitely when I first came to China in 2016. Before, most of my knowledge about China was from some documentaries or from what my Chinese teacher at that time told me. For example, whenever you would watch any video about China on German media, in some German newspaper, in the media, or in some documentaries, China is always pictured as this very gray place with a lot of rundown building. Everybody's very tense, everybody's oppressed, and you will always see those pictures of crowded streets, and you have a very dystopian picture of China. So when I first go there, and I notice, hey, it's not all so great. People are actually laughing here, and they're actually happy with the way they live here. That was really when I thought, that's not like what I saw in the news at all. So far, what impressed me most is actually how Chinese people view hardship. In China, I always see that people consider going through hardship is not necessarily something bad. It can make you stronger, it can make you more smarter. So when Chinese people are facing hardships, they will not feel annoyed, they will not feel bothered, they will actually feel happy to go through it. Because they consider it's a way to improve yourself. And I guess it's because you have those Confucius values and you have this Buddhism tradition that tells you that you should endure hardship and it's not something bad. It's something I think is very impressive to me.
You said that you've never want to be a celebrity. So I want to know, what are your plans for the future?
Well, first of all, I will definitely focus a lot on my studies. I will try to focus on my bachelor here in Germany. And once I travel to China, I will also take a Chinese language degree. So this is something I will focus first. For me, I'm still very young and I still don't know which place I suit best in the society. So I still have to take some time to find myself. Regarding my popularity on Twitter, why I get all those attention, why I get all the support, I was opening a Twitter account so I can improve my English writing skills. That was basically it. And I just thought my China experience is the only thing that is worth mentioning. In life, you cannot really predict anything. Some things just happen to you. Like I got involved into the lawsuit, and when those things happen, you just feel like you have to do it well. And for me, even though I do receive a lot of slandering, I receive a lot of hate and people like to threaten me as well. On the other side, I still receive so much support and so much encouragement. So when you're in this situation, you really feel like you're doing the right thing and you're motivated to do what you have to do. So yeah, being a celebrity, as you call, it was never my goal, but now that it happens, I will still do it because I have so much support and I also feel motivated to do it.